All right, we're going to talk about Kolbe Fields, who joined LSU from South Carolina. It's a 3-star prospect. When he signed with the Gamecocks out of Rummel, right down the road, and he will be headed to Baton Rouge. But before we do that, I want to talk about George Takacs. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Takacs is really all I can think. Either way, any way you pronounce that name, 6'6", 250-pound grad student tight end from Notre Dame University. The University of Notre Dame. Which one?
I think it's
University of Notre Dame. Yeah, that was pitiful. Either way, George Takacs into the transfer portal. Has not been hugely productive in his time in South Bend, but LSU is grossly thin at the tight end spot. You've basically got two, and this is a guy that I think is a slam dunk take with one of your 3 spots that you've got left. He's a guy Brian Kelly is familiar with. He's got great size. He's familiar with Brian Kelly's offense. To me, this is a no-brainer. If LSU can find a way to get Takacs to campus, that is a guy that I am taking in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Huge position of need. And we all know about, by this point, the viral TikTok little video with Danny Lewis going on. You just thought you had that tight end right in your back pocket, and then somehow he slips his way to Tuscaloosa. So you're back in the tight end market. And I think a guy like this who has a rapport with Coach Kelly knows what it takes to play in Coach Kelly's program, play in that offense. You need it. Right now, you really only got one tight end you can point to. You got Jason Taylor's son coming in. I would love to see Jack Bech never play tight end again, but that's just me. I don't want to be seeing that. I want him in the slot doing damage from the slot and just let him do his thing there. But, yes, I would love if you could get this guy, especially at the tight end position, because that's definitely a position of need.
Yeah, he had 3 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. That's inconsequential to me. I just like the fact that he's a grown man. He can get on the end of the line and can block and make himself useful. I'm not asking for him to change the game, but you don't have enough numbers. And you've got Cole Taylor and a freshman. That ain't it. You need more guys. And so you're going to have to get it through the transfer portal. You can get it before spring football. To me, that's far better than getting it after spring football. Get a chance to go through things. He has graduated. He's ready to roll. You don't have to have graduated, but that's a nice feather in his cap. So that's one I hope Brian Kelly is on the phone making a phone call right this very second, because that is a massive position of need for LSU. Kolbe Fields shoring up that linebacker room. I just did an interview before the show with the Chuck Oliver show. You can hear that this evening after Jimmy's show from 8 to 10 tonight. Chuck Oliver is on, and we talked about linebacker and how LSU was kind of had a situation where they were going to be in big trouble. And then dominoes started to fall LSU's way, because you get Micah Baskerville back. Mike Jones is going to come back. Hopefully you can get some development there. You go get Harold Perkins, who's the #1 linebacker in the country. West Weeks from Virginia jumps in the boat as well. And then Kolbe Fields, who's a 6'1", 215, 220-pound linebacker from over in South Carolina, who didn't play very much for South Carolina, but he's a young player. He's only played a year, and he's got time to develop. So you're starting to accumulate some depth. And quite honestly, Jeremy, I want LSU to assemble a championship football program, a championship football team. Is that realistic from what I saw in the Texas Bowl to September the 1st? That would be a tall ask. Yeah. I'm just trying to fill the roster out competitively so that you don't have to move guys around, like have Jack Bech play at a position for an entire year, because you just don't have the numbers you need. So, while I don't think any of these guys are a surefire first-team All-American next year, just having the numbers is important.
Yeah, my boy Champ in the Bayou Ford chat said how the mighty have fallen, LSU begging for a blocking threat. Look, we can take all the help we can get right now at the tight end position. Look, blocking, receiving, whatever you can do. If you can play tight end, come on down to Baton Rouge, come strap those pads on and come help the Fighting Tigers, because doing what we did last season, you saw it time and time again. Some of these guys, Cole Taylor, just blocking is not his forte. Obviously, Jack, a former wide receiver, that's not going to be his forte. And I think I'm not sure on the status. Do you think Mashburn's coming back next season? Do you think?
Yeah, I think he will be back.
Okay, so you got a little help with the blocking tight end. So yeah, but you need some more numbers in that room. And I think for really watching Denbrock's offense, watching Coach Kelly's offense, I saw a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I'm sure that's something that they want to get going and running the ball and mixing some play action stuff off of that. So you're going to need tight ends for sure.
You're going to have a first-year starting tackle at both tackle. Well, at wire, so okay. But certainly at right tackle. Say it is Will Campbell. Say he wins that job. Wouldn't it be nice to have a 6'6", 250-pound grad student senior standing right next to him that can help from time to time? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That it's, yeah, he may not catch 65 balls for 1,204 scores, but if he can help and just be a grown man that knows where to be and what to do and physically is capable of doing it, I'm all for it. As far as the linebacker room goes, you think Fields is an immediate play guy, or is that more of a development guy that sits behind?
Yeah, I'm gonna go development. I learned my lessons from last year. I remember we got the almighty Bug Strong, the number one JUCO linebacker in the country, baby. Yeah,
Bringing the thunder.
Yeah, play like 4 or 5 games, and hit the portal. So, yeah, I'm not gonna get too excited about it, but I think for me, I think it's pointing towards more like Baskerville, more towards a little Harold Perkins. I'm gonna go that way, and then let these guys play some special teams, give you some depth in that room, and really see what they can do.
Greg Penn, certainly a name to look for at linebacker as well, and then Wes Weeks, who I think they think a lot of that they brought in from Virginia. So, just the roster is starting to take shape. The point of the interview that I did with Chuck Oliver earlier today was just to kind of check in on how assembling this roster and building the foundation for this program has gone. And my answer to him was that, yeah, they're not dipping their toe into the transfer portal and pulling in All-Americans like potentially one or two of the guys that left could be. When you lose your 2 top corners and your starting quarterback transfers out, and it certainly looks bleak at times. But the fact is that they've done a good job in terms of replenishing the numbers. Yeah. I just never thought we'd get to a point where they would go to Houston to play in a bowl game with 43 guys or whatever it was. Like, that's really difficult to comprehend when you're talking about having 85 and then, your extra walk-ons for another 20 or so. It's a daunting task to look at, and it appears that that work is just about done.
Yeah, it's getting close. I never thought the immortal Pig Cage, shout out Pig Cage, man, look, fighting tiger right there, but I never thought he would be playing a snap next season. And here he is starting in a bowl game, so that's just where your roster was. You got guys who are walk-ons coming in and starting in bowl games. So I don't think that's going to be the case next year. I think the work that Coach Kelly's done in the transfer portal and in recruiting, and as you can see, he's still going to do his thing in the recruiting. He's still got some scholarships. I think we're down to 4 now, if I'm not mistaken.
3 or 4. It's hard to keep track. I'm thinking 3, but it could be 4.
Yeah, so, we still got a little wiggle room here, and I think he's going to continue to do that work. So it's going to be a lot different product than we saw in that old Texas Bowl.
It's just so different than it ever was, because we just knew that, guys signed on the first Wednesday in February, and they came in for this for the summer, and you could keep track of your timeline very easily. And now you're dealing with all of a sudden, there's Notre Dame's tight ends in the portal. Let's go look at that. Like, there's no – I mean, I know for a fact, because Auburn's such a dumpster fire, that Brian Harsin right now is on his vacation. It's the week after signing day, and he's in Mexico. Might be get a nice buyout check while he's down there at the swim-up bar at the all-inclusive hotel. But it's like you never know when your time is coming to add to the roster. We kind of figured that timeline was going to be after spring ball at this point, when guys were disgruntled. Turns out, here we are right in the middle of February, I guess in the middle of a semester, and you got your Notre Dame transfers. Like, hey, I'm here. Who wants a shot at this? It's just you now have to be on your toes all the time, which is why I think there's some momentum building towards when you can get into the portal, when you can take visits out of the portal, when you can sign guys out of the portal, and maybe regulating things a little bit. We've basically thrown all regulation to the wind in terms of how this sport is run. And that's evident in the fact that the rosters move as much as they do. But eventually, I think some sort of structure's got to come from this.
I don't know. I don't know. Not the way things are looking right now. I think if anything, the president might change where guys are looked at differently. But I think as long as the NFL doesn't care, you're going to see guys doing this. You're going to see guys trying to give themselves the best opportunity to get to the next level. Now with NIL being in the picture, now guys can go test the free agent market. Now you have a big time college football season. Go test the free agent market. Now you can see just how much money's out there for your name, and that's just something that college football has never seen. So I don't really see this changing. I don't see how they can stop it, because what's the point of even giving that opportunity to players if you're going to put a cap on it, or if you're going to say
it's not really a cap, just a schedule. It's like you can enter the transfer portal from January 10th through February 15th. And that's a transfer time. If you don't, then you can transfer. You can enter the transfer portal June 1st to June 15th.
So how mad do you think that 2 or 3 weeks is going to be for everyone in the country?
It'd be nuts.
I think
but at least you have a time frame so everybody's on the same page and we can do things the right way. It's seems to me it's like whenever Max Johnson, you want to head out for the bowl game, see ya. You and Calzada switch. Like Notre Dame tight end. You're 3 weeks into the semester. You want to test the water. It's like, all right, we're in. Like it's just a lot. It's a lot to have to deal with when you're having the wild west 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like it's a slippery slope because once you do, let's say you do bring some regulation to it, I think you're going to put so much pressure on these coaches to try to get these guys. Like if you're a guy who you're getting looked at by 10 different schools or 5 or 6 different schools, how do you take those visits in those 2 or 3 week time? It's a lot of stuff that's good. Like it's a lot of stuff you got to figure out. So I don't know. That's why I think it's just going to be the same going forward. It's nuts, but I think the coaches are adapting to it. The players are adapting to it. The product on the field isn't like terrible. Like a lot of people were saying last year, well, man, these guys are getting money now. They're not going to play. Like, no, Georgia wanted to win the national championship. Some of these teams, they wanted to go play well at a high level. So I'm not going to go that far, but I definitely don't think it's changing anytime soon. Thanks so much for watching Hunt and Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.